I remember when I first got my first high-paying job, and the first thing I wanted to do was go purchase a nice, big red Corvette, one of that year to be specific. And luckily, my colleagues talked me out of it. They told me that would be one of the dumbest things that I could do, and I wasn't too sure of why they were actually saying that, but I ended up listening to them and not going through with the purchase. Looking back on it, I asked myself, did I actually want this Corvette? And honestly, the truth of the whole situation is no, I didn't actually want the Corvette, and I'll explain. Luxury brands don't actually sell to the rich. Their marketing teams had admitted that they target people who can just afford the items or people where the items are just outside of their income. Luxury brands are specifically targeting people with low self-esteems, people who are looking for items as if they're a form of a status symbol, or guys who are just out there chasing women. When I was in my early 20s, I was trying to do both of these things due to my low self-esteem. Luckily though, I didn't go through with this, and it was one of the best decisions I've made in my entire life. The reason that is because it gave me more flexibility and freedom to do the things that I wanted. And also, it made my life bullshit proof. For those of you that are like, what's bullshit proof? I'll explain it. When you go and buy an item to attract people or to make people like you, you're attracting people who are materialistic and use materials as a means to judge an individual's character. In short, those people that you are attracting, whether they truly like you for you now, only approached you because of the items that you had to begin with. If you didn't have those items, they would have never liked you for you. And I don't know about you, but I want people to like me for me and not like me for a facade or for some car that's going to be outdated in the next 5 years. To be honest, those types of people are just easily manipulated through marketing. But enough of me rambling, let's get into the video. Here's some tips to help you buy a car the right way. When it comes to buying a car, you first must establish your monthly income. Once you have your monthly income established, you then don't want to spend any more than 15% a month on transportation. That includes insurance, the car payment, gas, and repairs. Like I said earlier, luxury brands don't target the rich, and the reason this is because statistically, the average millionaire buys a 4-year-old car with 40,000 miles on it, not a luxury sports car to flex their wealth. Tip number 2, buy from private parties. The reason why you want to do this is because dealerships are constantly trying to manipulate you and take advantage of you financially. So when you go to a private party, most of the time it's someone who's looking for cash fast, and you're able to get good deals on them, especially if you target the rich who maintain the vehicle, kept up with its maintenances and all of its repairs, and it really just was used as a means to get from point A to point B. That's really what you're trying to focus on. Tip number 3, buy assets, not liabilities. When buying a car, you want to downsize your monthly payments. The lower, the better, because a car is just a liability. And here's an example. The average car payment is $504 a month. If you took that money and placed it in a Roth IRA over the course of 40 years, you would have over $5 million by the time you withdrew the money, compared to just having a car that depreciated in value as the years went on. The average car loses 60 to 70% of their value in just the 4 years alone, which is why, like I said earlier, millionaires buy cars that are at least 4 years old, to maximize their dollars, of course. Which brings me to tip number 4, buy a used car over a new car. Now, you can buy a new car, but I highly recommend that you do not buy a new car unless your net worth is over $1 million, as you'll have room for the depreciating asset, in short, or for you to lose a little bit of money without it financially impacting your wallet or bank account. Tip number 5, do some research. Like everything, he with the most knowledge wins. Take time out of your day to look at cars that you're interested, learn things like the engine size, the packages that come with the cars, and try to use that in negotiating tactics. Say things like, hey, I know that this engine is notorious for needing repairs at this mile marker. Do you think that we could talk down the price a little bit? Tip number 6, no impulse buying. A lot of people just jump right into buying a car and see the first deal and jump right on it. That's not a smart thing to do, honestly. You want to take your time when it comes to buying a car. Check the market, look at other cars in other areas, and compare prices. I mean, The decision is huge. It's possibly taking on a mass amount of debt or spending a mass amount of money. So why not take time to do some research, test the fields, and just study the market a little bit more before jumping right in and blowing that money or getting wrapped into some ridiculous finance agreement. Tip number 7, pay cash. You know that saying, cash is king? This is true. You can use your cash to leverage the amount you have to spend on the car as a whole. Tip number 8, don't get married to the car. Don't get married to the first car that you see that is a great deal, like I said earlier. Be prepared to walk away. Be prepared to take your time with this process. It's extremely important. I cannot stress that enough. And too many people treat it like buying a new pair of shoes, which it's not by any means. This is a vehicle that is not only going to get you from point A to point B and increase the function of your life, but also should be reliable and not make it so you have to work X amount of days just to afford the vehicle without any wiggle room or freedom to be able to pursue other financial ventures, whether it be from a consumer standpoint or a producer standpoint. Tip number 9, win the mind game. When it comes to being a buyer and you're face to face with some type of seller, be quiet and allow the seller to talk. Also, when going around the car, touch things like dents, scrapes, scratches. This is a tactic that dealerships do so that way they can offer you a lesser price for your trade-in value. Why not use the same tactics that million-dollar organizations do? The second that you show signs that you're interested in the car, whether it be excitement or being an over-talkative person, the seller knows that they have you in their hand and will use that to their advantage of a form of leverage to get the amount that they truly want. Tip number 10, check insurance rates. It's extremely important before you make these huge purchases or when you're comparing cars to look into how much it costs to insure the vehicles before you go ahead and grab one. I mean, this is definitely a major tip as insurance rates can fluctuate a lot based on the year, make, and model. I hope this video gave you a better understanding of the car buying process and even changed your mind a little bit when it comes to making this car purchase. And remember, the next time you see someone pull up in a fancy, flashy sports car, the chances are is that they can barely afford that car payment, and also, they probably have extremely low self-esteem. And most people realize this as well. So, the question is, what are you waiting for? Go buy your car.